Hey, so this video is pretty meta, right? A little behind the scenes, but I do think sponsorships are a really important topic to discuss for this whole platform in general. So I'm keeping the presentation super simple, but I hope you'll stick around anyway. Thank you. This video makes a lot more sense now that we know Wizards is paying off YouTubers to support the new edition. And not only are they paying the content creators, but they pay YouTube to control the TTRPG algorithm to always go to D&D even when you search for Pathfinder. This is a sellout take. So I'm sure to most of you, this comment sounds exactly as unhinged as it is, but with the new D&D books coming soon. And yes, with Wizards of the Coast actually giving out some books and paying some content creators who are making videos about the new books, I thought it might be helpful to give a little peek behind the Dungeon Tuber curtain, because these conspiracies thrive on a lack of information about how sponsorships work. And now I can't speak for any other creators really, but I can share my perspective on what sponsorships are usually like, including YouTube's disclosure policies that every creator must follow. And then finally, I will tell you about my own interesting little discussions with Wizards of the Coast toward the end of this video. That way, when you inevitably see all these 2024 D&D vids just slamming into your YouTube feed over the next couple weeks, you can better understand what impact, if any, a sponsorship might have on a video and focus more on the games and how to make them more fun. Because I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing RPGs together, and let's begin this conspiracy breakdown with simply a knee-slapping Twitter exchange where a slightly less aggressive user said this: "Can we get a confirmation from our favorite YouTubers that they haven't and won't take money to shill for Hasbro D&D at Sesgorkowski, at Dungeoncraft, at A Dungeon Delver?" Okay, Editor Bob here. I realized on its face the first part of this is only funny if you're familiar with these creators. So for example, here is a normal thumbnail from Professor DM. Not the first person I'd guess to be sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. But before we get to the really funny part of that, the framing of this question says it all. Most of the people who are actively concerned with the impact of D&D sponsored videos already have a negative opinion about D&D, Wizards of the Coast, and or Hasbro. That's why this person calls it Hasbro D&D instead of 2024 D&D. And that's probably why they're name-calling, using the word shill instead of just calling it what it is: a sponsorship, an advertisement, a promotion, whatever. But foundationally, this tweet, this conspiracy, and most conspiracies, come down to trust. This guy, rightfully so, wants to know that the creators they like and trust aren't going to break that trust by accepting money from a company that they don't like or trust. That's a completely reasonable desire from anyone. My own opinions about Sesgorkowski or Professor DM would definitely change if I knew they were raking it in from some kind of evil corporation. However, some of these anti-D&D conspirators are doing the exact opposite, where they already don't like or trust a particular creator. Therefore, if the creator talks about the game they don't like, well, then it's obvious. Not only are they not a true gamer like me, but they must also be an immoral sellout shill. So I will be sure to leave a spiteful comment as my twisted form of to enact internet justice. That's definitely going to happen on this video, by the way. And something similar has happened to me before. Once I came across a video with my name in the title where the creator spent like 5 minutes calling me a shill for Daggerheart because, as they themselves explained, they didn't like Daggerheart, but they usually like my videos. So since I made videos about Daggerheart, obviously, I must have been shilling. That's the logic we're up against here. But speaking of twisted forms of entertainment, Sesgorkowski replied to that tweet saying, "Like, how much money are we talking about? For 500 grand, I'll wrestle Professor in a pool of spaghetti shaped like the D&D logo." Which to me felt like the perfect response to this random quasi-accusatory message. But then the professor himself came in with the +1 vest of wisdom. I don't judge anyone for taking money in order to feed themselves, especially if they enjoy official D&D. I'm independent, but that's because I'm old and have 3 jobs. I have never said anything negative about another D&D tuber, and I never will. Did I say +1 vest of wisdom? More like +1 vest of... And he nailed it. I don't want to talk trash about other creators. That's why I didn't name the guy who made that video about me shilling for Daggerheart. And also, like, really part of the reason I'm making this video is just because I don't want anyone to talk trash about my creator friends simply because they were lucky enough to be paid for making videos that they already wanted to make. Again, I can really only speak for myself, but here are the 3 reasons that I accept sponsorships. 1. There's something about this book or project that has me really excited. 2. It is pretty crucial to my income as a full-time creator to occasionally accept sponsorships. And 3, my own weird reason that I'll talk about in a minute. So in order, I get a couple emails every day from brands wanting me to promote their cool new thing. Many of these are straight up spam, like health energy shots and makeup mirror brands who think I'm a TikTok beauty creator. That has happened way more than once. Some of these brands are typical YouTube sponsors, like meal delivery services and every VPN that you've never even heard of. But fortunately for me, I also get like a decent amount of inquiries from TTRPG companies, so I always favor those ones because it's most relevant to me and you. And even then, I have the privilege of choice, so I only pursue the books and projects that excite me in some way. And then, if everything else checks out with that book or project, I usually let the exciting part of it determine the topic of my video, so it's all more fun to make for me. And never, ever have I had a TTRPG sponsor even suggest that I must only be positive about their product or give me a script of what to say or something. Like, I have seen stuff similar to that in some random offers from not the beauty mirrors, but like mobile game companies, but not TTRPGs. At most, a publisher will typically provide a summary of what the project offers and some bullet points, a la 40 new monsters, 40 new magic items, 10 new dungeons. But Bob, you demand, what about the money? That's kind of the clincher here, right? That's the point people are really concerned about, the swaying by money. So speaking for myself, I started this channel in 2019 so I could spread the good word of D&D and hopefully, maybe someday, make enough money from my videos that I wouldn't feel bad about dropping $50 on a new book twice a year. That was the whole plan. Never thought that this could become my job, and the only reason it can be my job is thanks to a combination of YouTube ad revenue, sponsorships, and most importantly, Patreon. As you might have heard, YouTube ad revenue is cool, but it fluctuates wildly based on the amount of views you get. It's directly tied to views and even to Google ad rates throughout the year, and YouTube could just theoretically change how it works whenever they want. So with the typical range of views that I get, and I guess where I live in the world, YouTube ad revenue alone is not a reliable source of income. This makes sponsorships a great supplement. That's how I was able to afford my computer, my laptop, my camera that I'm using right now, microphones, software, freelanced artwork. Literally everything that helps me make my videos and my publications better was sponsorship money that I reinvested into my brand. But just like ad revenue, sponsors only care if you get a lot of views. So even then, sponsorships really aren't something that I can easily project and rely on in the long term. Thus, Patreon is how I survive. I have consistently made about the same amount of money through Patreon every month for the last 3 or 4 years, even though my views and subscribers have changed a lot since then. Like, I get a lot more views and I have a lot more subs now, but Patreon has stayed pretty much the same that whole time. And really, Patreon does fluctuate, but overall, it is way more stable because it is not directly tied to views. It's just generous people supporting what I do, and I am forever grateful for the support of my patrons, and also to you for watching this, dropping comments, likes, shares. It's all helpful in different ways. And that is part of why I have this third, less conventional reason for taking sponsorships. Sometimes I'm presented with an extremely high quality, innovative TTRPG product that, good golly gosh, looks like a game changer, looks like thousands of people would love to incorporate this thing into their games. So I accept that sponsorship, even if I personally might not be super excited to put it into my game, but hear me out. That's because I'm a minimalist weirdo, even when it comes to RPGs. This could be its own video, but like the main set of dice that I use every session is the first one I ever bought. A cheap, plain black and white set of dice. I don't use VTTs, terrain, minis. I have a floppy whiteboard that I accidentally stole from my previous job. That's what I draw maps on. Any of the accessories that normal people use to run games. And then even when it comes to books, yes, I read a lot and I borrow ideas from tons of stuff, but then if it's a good idea for the game, right, it stays in my head. So I don't feel the need to keep a lot of my books. I literally give away almost everything I receive from sponsors, and most of the stuff that I have kept is really like still on the shelf because even though we don't use it that much, my wife just doesn't want to get rid of it yet. But in spite of that, I am still incredibly grateful whenever someone, especially a fellow independent creator, reaches out to me and offers to give me their creation. Even if I have to tell them, hey, thank you so much, but I just don't have it in my schedule right now, I can't check this out. That's still one of the most generous things a person can do. And that's going to bring us back around to companies like Wizards of the Coast and YouTube. So the private back end of every YouTube video includes this section, paid promotion. If you accepted anything of value from a third party to make your video, you must let us know. We'll show your viewers a message that tells them your video contains paid promotion. Checking that little box means YouTube will add a little pop-up at the beginning of the video that says, includes paid promotion. Because in the United States, as far as I know, not a lawyer, you're legally bound to disclose when a promotion is paid for. But remember, according to YouTube and this little checkbox, that quote-unquote paid promotion can be anything. It could be a free book. It could be a fat check. Could be 500 grand worth wrestling Professor DM in an ampersand-shaped swimming pool. So the only way to really know whether a content creator was paid actual money for a promotion is if they voluntarily clarify the nature of the payment. That is why I, and many other creators, though technically not speaking for them, will often say something like, oh, by the way, this video is not sponsored, they just sent me a free copy. That's how I clarify when a paid promotion does not include money. Otherwise, I would say something like, this video is sponsored by blank, to clarify a traditional sponsorship, what I consider to be a traditional sponsorship, aka when the paid promotion does include money. And now I'm finally about to get to my Wizards of the Coast story, but I want to summarize. All promotion comes down to trust, but I only promote things that I'm excited about or that I think you'll be really excited about, and usually both. And it's a fun way for me to supplement my income and keep this really cool job. And because I'm not willing to risk legal consequences, I would never not disclose paid promotion from any company, including Wizards of the Coast. Now here is my somewhat abnormal promotional exchange with Wizards of the Coast. Technically started in March of 2024, several months ago, when I got an email asking if I wanted a free copy of the Making of Original Dungeons & Dragons history book. They said I would receive a very early PDF, watermarked of course, of the book, and then a physical copy of the book around the time of the release. They also said I'd have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, but just about not sharing the PDF online or revealing any content from the book before a specific date, but the NDA would leave me completely free to publicly talk about the NDA itself and the fact that they would be sending me a book. To be clear, there was absolutely no mention of monetary payment from them or me. And to be super clear, lots of publishers make exactly this type of offer without the NDAs. That's very rare in my experience. Only ever had like 2 other publishers ever even make that part of the equation. But that wasn't the weirdest part. I want to quote from the email. Creator early access is strictly non-obligational, meaning that you are not required to make content on the book in exchange for participating. Whoa, nice, so no strings attached. Oh, while this program is non-obligational, it does have extremely limited capacity. In order to ensure creators get the most out of early access, we ask that participants be interested in creating content around the product prior to joining a creator early access release. So, the string isn't technically attached, but there's definitely a string here. And I think to the average person, this should seem completely normal. Of course, they don't want to waste money sending books to creators who aren't going to talk about the books. But in my experience, easily 95% of independent publishers who offer to send me stuff make that offer with legitimately 0 strings. Meanwhile, the wealthiest tabletop gaming company that has ever existed has extremely limited capacity. That just felt kind of weird. But they are new to this. They've been relying on free promo from content creators for as long as content creators have existed. There's going to be a learning curve. It's kind of funny, to be honest. Anyway, as someone interested in the history of D&D, who didn't want to pay for the book, I was happy to accept a free copy, and I plan to make a video where I'd compare it to an independently published book about the history of RPGs. So I signed the NDA, I got the PDF, and then the release date came, and the release date went, and I didn't I didn't get the book. They didn't send me the book. That was mid-June. So I waited until about the end of June to ask about it, and then a week went by with no response. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Okay, I can take a hint. Feels like something changed and they didn't want to give me that book anymore. But weirdly, in the interim, they asked if I wanted a free copy of the Player's Handbook. This new offer had all the same stipulations, and I had pretty much the same take on it. I'm curious, right? I was interested, curious about these new rules changes. But I really don't know if I want to give them money for it. And if anything, I'm saving that for the next starter set or whatever they make with Stranger Things. I'm actually excited about that. But I also know that lots of people in this audience are curious about the 2024 changes. So I went for it. And again, no monetary payment was even discussed whatsoever. But then it's mid-July, getting into late July. Gen Con's coming up, and a creator friend asks me if I was invited to a little get-together at Gen Con organized by Wizard of the Coast. And no, I wasn't invited. But I had a thought. Okay, I'm still waiting on this history book. So I sent him one more email about that, and then I dropped in a sneaky little see ya at Gen Con. And apparently that was the ticket. Almost immediate response. They apologized about the late book. They shipped it that week, and then they invited me to this thing at Gen Con. They said, I didn't mention the thing. They brought up the thing. I just brought up Gen Con. And then they actually said they could potentially get me a copy of the PHB at Gen Con. And then totally unrelated, but the very day that I was writing this video, the PHB that I was supposed to get arrived in the mail. So while it never feels awesome to be the last person picked in gym class, I am still grateful to be invited to this little event. This sort of thing is basically the best ways that I have to meet up with my content creator friends from around the world. And frankly, if I had gotten the invite when everybody else was, it would be super strange. I shouldn't be a high priority for Wizards right now because I have not shown much enthusiasm for the 2024 books. And in hindsight, I assume that's why they never offered to pay me, but they did offer to pay other people actual money. And it's why I didn't even ask. So I can only hope that Wizard of the Coast continues to include creators like me who love parts of 5e, but are not necessarily over the moon about every single new book that comes out. That's how they'll get a wider range of opinions about the game, how they'll generate more discussion instead of just the same positive talking points over and over, and ultimately push the development of the game to become more fun for the inevitable next edition. They're saying this is the last one, but no way. In 10 or 15 years, new people will be running the show. They're obviously going to make a new game. And you know what? I hope that you, yes you, do the same. Seek a wide variety of opinions on RPGs and keep an open mind. Check out content creators who love what you love, and check out creators who tear your favorites apart so you don't get stuck in any bubble. That is the only way to rise above the flood of influencer marketing and then shape your game, the game at your table, around whatever wild ideas you and your players find the most fun. So yeah, not sponsored, but thank you to Wizards for sending me the book and inviting me to a fun little get-together. Thank you to my patrons for allowing me to do what I do, and thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, however you're able to support. It means a lot. Keep building.